All right. Hello, everybody. We are here for the second episode of season 3, and I'm joined today by Wendy Chalmers Miller. And I met her because we were,
Mill.
Mill, sorry. Yes, that's right. Is it Mill or Mills?
Mill, no S.
Mill.
Just the
Okay.
mill.
Well, thank you for correcting me on that. We are new virtual friends. We both were volunteers are volunteers at Action for Happiness. And that is the topic of season 3 are the 10 keys to happiness that are defined within Action for Happiness. And today's topic is social connectedness, something that I think is super important to happiness. And that it's actually, again, one of the main topics of my podcast is connectedness. And that's why I am so pleased to be meeting new friends despite COVID, and one of those being Wendy. So Wendy, tell us about yourself.
Thanks, Yvette. That was a nice introduction. Connectedness is my baby. I've had quite a journey through from where I have been to where I am now, but it's all based on human dynamics and how we relate to each other, both from a personal level, how we connect to self and how we connect to others. I started a company called Positive Performance, which is all about being able to perform to your best self at work. And that really comes back to the word connectedness, and how if you're more connected to yourself and you understand yourself better, you then can connect with others and project better on others. So Positive Performance has sort of had many guises, but obviously over the last year and a half, it has changed again to being much more of an online forum. And alongside Positive Performance, I started a second thing, which you can see in the background, called the Wisdom Witches. And the Wisdom Witches is a group that we set up at the beginning of COVID to allow a safe space for people to connect and be supported with worries they may have just through the whole virus that's been happening over the last wee while. And it's sort of grown, and we now have people from your neck of the woods, from America, from South Africa, from all over, who join us on a Friday from 11 till 12 to discuss different anxieties around well-being, and how they can grow personally and become more confident in themselves and also connect with others in that same space. That's a little bit of background about myself, Yvette.
Yeah, well, so 11 to 12 UK time, is that right?
It is. So we don't have many Americans. We've only had one. As it happens, one of my co-wisdom witches is an American. And as a result, she has had one of her friends come on, give up some sleep time to come on. But we are planning actually to make it more of a late afternoon UK time to allow some of her colleagues in America to come on. So yes, 11 till 12 UK time at the moment.
Well, I will say also the Action for Happiness, where what again this season is based on, is based in the UK. So that is predominantly people from the UK, although similarly, they're now expanding quite a lot. And but I think I might have been the only volunteer that was from the US
Yeah.
on that call.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping both of these great efforts will expand and gain popularity in the US, because I'm all about happiness, and so it's great to be involved and to have met you. Another thing that I found when we chatted, that you were going to be a keynote speaker, I think, at an Agile conference. Is that correct?
Yes, I got involved, I suppose indirectly, into Agile because my main thing is about communication. I love this whole idea of being able to communicate well. And through that, sort of got involved in Agile, looking at how leaders are communicating horizontally rather than vertically, and how they're disseminating information in a way that allows the workforce to become more integrated and agile. And yes, so I was invited to be the keynote in Bangalore at an Agile conference. And I suppose the whole aspect of Agile sits really comfortably with me because it allows it, well, it's an idea of being broad-minded, chunking up, and being able to cross horizontally over borders perhaps that you might not previously have been involved in the workspace. So I love that whole idea of being flexible, agile, being able to communicate through all different areas within your workplace. And so that's how that came about. So yes.
Yeah, Agile is all about strong communication and also about relationships and connectedness again. So I find there is a lot of overlap between positive psychology and the philosophies that come with Agile, especially Agile leadership. And in fact, that just something occurred to me. There is a 2021 Agile conference that runs like the whole month of February. You and I will have to chat, and we'll see. Maybe we could do a joint seminar. They're accepting uh, presentations,
Mm.
and I know you're a seasoned speaker. It's definitely out of my comfort zone, but maybe if we paired up, we could.
I think that would be great. I
Yeah,
think your knowledge in the agile space is probably greater, and my knowledge in the speaker space is
yeah,
probably greater. So the combination of both would work really well. And
yeah.
that's the loveliness of, although there might be some drawbacks to what's been happening over the last year and a half, it's definitely opened that space of global communication and being
Mhm.
connected in a far greater way than I think ever before. Which for me has been wonderful. I wouldn't have met you necessarily because we wouldn't have had the opportunity had we not been on that online platform of connectedness. So that
Yes.
for me has been a gift.
Absolutely. And another thing that Agile promotes is collaboration. So, again, we would be demonstrating all these different Agile practices. And so, again, there's such an overlap. And I think that in our topic, we're brainstorming here on the fly, we could talk about how Agile philosophies and positive psychology philosophies intersect so much.
Yeah, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
and so, again, connectedness is so important, I think, in so many ways. You're talking about in your business, you talk to leaders about how they can be better leaders. What one of my, this is this podcast, and even one of my pet projects is how we can use Agile in everyday life and social connectedness. And right now, again, with COVID, a lot of people are in social isolation. They are feeling like they cannot have that social connection that they crave because our world is different. But another thing about Agile is to be innovative and to think beyond the box of how things were done before. And what advice would you give to our listeners about ways they can foster social connection even when physically they're isolated?
Well, I think looking for networking groups, looking for groups that have a common interest to yourself online and fostering that friendship within that network, it's amazing what you can achieve on an online in an online meeting. And
Yeah.
if the space feels safe to you and it's within your normal comforts of what your likes, what your hobbies, and what your strengths are, then you will feel more comfortable in that space and you will automatically become more connected within that network. So I think going online and investigating what exactly exists. I mean, Action for Happiness is a typical example of that. You know, looking to see where there might be an Action for Happiness group in your area and becoming connected to that group, because it's likely that like-minded people will automatically be attracted to that space. And in that, you will actually feel less isolated, I would suggest. I mean, I think the feeling of isolation only exists if you don't move out of that fear zone of actually allowing yourself to go online. I think that's the main stepping stone or the hurdle for some, because they feel that communicating via a camera is not the same as communicating in a personal space, which it isn't, but it is amazing what you can do and how you can feel if the space is right for you. And that's what I've definitely found in the Wisdom Witches. I mean, that space that we've created with, it's usually 12 to 14 people, is like a little piece of it's really integrated and safe, and people will allow their vulnerabilities to come forward and they open up. And
Mhm.
it's quite a unique space. So I think that it attracts the right people. And I think that's how I would suggest social isolation can be lessened by using the gift of what we can now do on an online platform. And there is so much more available than there ever has been before because of people feeling isolated. So there's more and more things popping up. And as I say, Action for Happiness, Friendly February, which is the one that's coming up next month, would be ideal for people if they're wanting just somewhere to talk and allow some of their emotional fears to come to the fore and just let go of them and chat about them with others.
Yes, great suggestions. Tell us more about Wisdom Wishes. How do you, if it starts getting big, I mean, if we advertise it, I mean, I want to come, and people might hear this and start joining. What, how will you still keep fostering that atmosphere of safety? Will it break up into smaller groups, or
Yes,
uh, do you
yes.
already do that?
Not yet, but I would suggest that if we get to a certain, I would say the maximum we would want is about 20 in one session, because it does have a feeling of intimacy if there's a
Mhm.
smaller group. So if it goes over 20, we would start to have different time frames for the session, and that's an easy way of extending it out to a wider audience. We have a membership, online membership, that people can join the forum now as a member, and they don't then pay for the session. And there's a few other bits and pieces. They get meditation in our private group, meditations in our private group, and they get a one-to-one personal alignment coaching session, just of where they are and where they would like to go and any fears they have at that time. So there's bits and pieces that we can still continue with a huge amount of people. And should it be that we want to grow even more, then there are opportunities to take on different coaches, different therapists that could join one of the wise forums or the wisdom forums. At the moment, we have a psychotherapist and a psychosynthesis therapist, an energy medicine practitioner, and myself as a humanologist, and humanology being the space of basically how we interact with self and how we project on others, and the connectedness we feel both with ourselves and others.
Do you have a certain agenda structure that you follow through is it an hour long?
It's an hour long, and the themes or the topics they sort of feed off each other, one to the next. For instance, this Friday's topics is on core values. Next Friday's I'm hosting it, and I'm going to do resilience through adversity, because I think January at the moment is a hard month for many people due to the weather and after Christmas, and people can feel flat anyway. And I think just looking at what resilience tools you can nurture in yourself to make you feel a bit more buoyant through the sort of low period is good. So I'm going to run that one next Friday. So each Friday we have a different topic that we feel resonates with the listeners that attend our group.
Yeah.
So that's how it's programmed.
So in some ways, it seems very similar to Action for Happiness as far as the structure and kind of having a theme and the number of participants, et cetera. One thing that, since both you and I are new to Action for Happiness and being facilitators for that curriculum, but I I do think in other things that I facilitated in groups that I've led, you start to grow in friendships if you have the same set of people that come week to week versus meetups is another way to that I don't, that people that I know I've joined different groups, but one of the problems with meetups is there's always a different group every time. And so it's hard to really form those connections, unless you sort of have a regular same set of people. So with Wisdom Witches, how have you found it? Do you have different people every time, or do you just have some people that it really resonates with and they come back week to week? Or tell me more about that.
So we do have a core group of members, and they tend to come most weeks. Sometimes they dip in out, but in general, they're there most weeks. But we also have it open to anybody else that wants to attend, in the hope that they may wish to become a member.
Mm-hmm.
So the core group has grown. I think we've got a core group of about 12 at the moment, and they are regular to most Fridays. But in saying that, it's very welcoming to the two or three additional people that come, because there's a greater number that are regulars than are not regulars, and so we really embrace anybody new coming in. And we are also thinking about, through our website, having an inter-member networking forum, where online they can actually talk to each other when we haven't got the forum, the formalized forum running. So it becomes an area where they can connect with each other should they want to. We're looking at doing that as well. So
Yes.
both of
So
those.
again, as far as the topic of connectedness is concerned, I have noticed, as I said, that regularity of sort of coming in, people do get to know each other then and feel a little more connected than in those early days where they don't
Yeah.
know people yet and they're reluctant to be vulnerable or to share. And so
Yes, yeah. It's interesting because very quickly people seem to feel comfortable, but I think that's possibly because of the people that are the core group, because of what the core group offer. It automatically sort of opens the door for those that are new to feel more vulnerable in a safe space.
yes.
And we run retreats as well, online retreats.
Ah,
So the next one will be at the spring solstice, so it will be in March when the clock changes. And that's a full day of going through numbers of different things, and mindfulness, laughter, yoga, meditation, energy medicine. So we sort of have a day of dipping in and out of a lot of different growth programs and things that'll help you just feel grounded to self and comfortable in self, and rejuvenated at the end. Tired but rejuvenated is how many of them said the last time worked. And I was amazed how well it worked, because the idea of going on a retreat but in your home seems a bit odd. But there's something nice about being in your own space and getting your own duvet and your own candles and your own area and making it really cozy for yourself. And then coming on to the retreat, it's quite unique to be able to do that, to find a wee space in your home that is your wee place where you can just switch off and completely be at ease, play your own music in the background if you want to, and sort of customize it uniquely for your own needs, which is
yeah.
one of the nice things.
Yeah, again, it's just another example of being adaptable to what's happening in the world right now and finding a different way to bring that energy that you'd get from a retreat right to your own home at, you know, without the cost of going to a retreat. I mean, I know that, and I think a lot of businesses are finding that too, as we've had to adapt to doing more things remotely and from home. Again, you miss something that I know we all can't wait to get back when we don't have the COVID restrictions of that face-to-face bonding. But finding these ways to adapt, you do figure out that there are some advantages. I know I felt the same way. One of the things I really miss is I used to get a monthly massage, and I just always looked forward to that. But just with the new year, I started to implement what I'm calling self spa Sunday. And Sunday night, I just get all my little goodies and make my bath really beautiful and just luxuriate in it. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this myself. I don't need to. I mean, I still can't wait to get back to having a massage, but we can just find these ways to adapt when it comes to any of these habits, including, again, social connection, and finding, like you said, even the fact that now more people are collaborating and having these opportunities to collaborate online. It is something that it was available before, but now it's just much more available in so many different formats and forms that it's a wonderful time to kind of take advantage of those things and to um, expand our minds of different ways of doing things and still
Yeah,
finding joy.
I think it's seeing opportunity rather than seeing doors that are shut. So,
Right.
as you say, it's embracing change and seeing the opportunity of change and seeing the reason of why. Rather than seeing it as being inflicted on us, maybe see it as there might be reasons behind it on a much bigger, more expansive mindset as to where we are and why perhaps this has happened. and
Yeah.
then see opportunities of how we can learn from it. I mean, certainly for me, over the last year and a half, my personal growth and my wisdom has changed dramatically because I've stepped back and thought about me, what I'm doing, and what I want to do, and become much more aligned with my own personal core values and beliefs. Whereas before this, I just was taken along in the swell of work and what was happening in work. In fact, I've just done my third TED Talk,
Whoa.
and it was very much the theme of humanology versus technology. And rather than drowning in technology, surfing on the waves of technology to sort of enhance where you're going and what you're doing, but also still stay connected to your own humanity. So not be driven so much, but connect to your humanity and use technology to enhance that. And I think many people end up being driven by technology, but certainly COVID has allowed me to reflect on that and realize the benefits without being taken on the doing. So human being rather than human doing
Mhm.
in that space. So yeah, I think in some ways, although it's a bit weird to say, it's been a little bit of a gift for me because it's just allowed me to step back a bit and reflect. Yeah.
Yes. Well, reflection and embracing change are two other key concepts in the agile philosophy. So we have many ways that we're going to ace that that talk that we're going to do about that.
Perfect.
All right. Well, Wendy, it's been so nice talking to you. I usually end because this is Carpe Diem and it's about seizing the day and living life fully. It sounds like you do that all the time. Any final tip for the listeners about how they can seize the day?
Definitely. When you get up in the morning, think about your first thoughts and your first words, because that's what's going to frame your day. So if you get up in the morning and have a positive thought, be that a smile, a laugh, or a quick positive conversation, the rest of your day will follow likewise. So I think it's that getting up and framing your day with your own intention
Yeah,
of positivity.
I love that. Thanks, Wendy. Bye bye.
Bye for now.